as with boxing, when it's at the elite stage, you can't play games.
Out necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you.
For multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis, he's a lightweight, normally fights at 135 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200 pounds.
Floyd Mayweather has publicly criticized Jake Paul over the no-knockout rule in his upcoming exhibition bout with Gervonta Davis. According to Floyd, Jake seems more focused on turning the fight into entertainment rather than a serious contest. While he acknowledges that both fighters know what they're getting into, Floyd argues that real boxing should be about skill and genuine competition, not staged rules designed for showmanship.
But like I said before, they know what they're doing. Both brothers.
Clemens commented on X, "I think we all knew this would be an exhibition, but the Florida State Athletic Commission saying they'll display skill without aiming to win through strikes or full contact, probably not the best way to market a fight." Lol, known for his blunt opinions in boxing circles, Clemens criticized the commission for diluting the fight's intensity. His remarks suggest that such framing may turn off hardcore fans looking for a real contest. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather, always driven by legacy and relevance, is reportedly pursuing a fight with Mike Tyson, not just for profit, but to assert his dominance in the spotlight. With the hype surrounding Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis, Floyd's move redirects attention back to himself, overshadowing his protege. It's a classic Mayweather strategy: stay relevant, control the narrative, and remind the world that his name still defines boxing culture.
Now that there's so many celebrities and so many people that are known, where you can get somebody and they can sell tickets to events, that's what kicked off the social media influence boxing that Jake Paul was birthed from. Now we're in a vacuum. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation about that and continuing to do that. In this particular video, though, I want to get into the mind of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and why Floyd Mayweather Jr. would do this. There is the money, but there's also the competitive nature of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and him not wanting to have other people think that they're a bigger star than he is. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not been able to really launch his star outside of the sport of boxing, so he continues to do exhibitions. Now, what I think is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is announced it at this point in time with Mike Tyson in order to take advantage of the publicity heading into the Gervonta Davis, Jake Paul fight, which is, I do believe, set for November. So now that they have all the publicity and all that stuff coming out from that, he's going to piggyback on it and then try to have it in the beginning of next year sometime and actually make it a bigger event than Gervonta versus Jake Paul. And it probably will be. And the reason that I say that is
the center of the controversy is the issue of legacy. Mayweather, undefeated and retired, risks nothing by taking part in exhibitions. For him, it's about financial gain and maintaining his public image. Jake Paul, still a novice in the sport, uses such events to build his brand. But for Gervonta Davis, the stakes are far higher. Every fight he chooses now shapes his professional future. By prioritizing entertainment over real competition, Davis risks alienating boxing purists who want to see him face true challengers. The core question remains, is short-term fame worth jeopardizing long-term legacy?
What is going to happen in that fight is basically the same thing as what's happening to Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, except for that is a live action fight that is a real competitive fight. But the marketing of it is the same thing. And the fact that somebody is going to pay for it is more likely with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson than it is with even Jake Paul and Gervonta. But I think that it really is an attempt to compete with Gervonta Davis by setting up a bigger fight than Gervonta Davis is having. And I'm going to tell you this something else too. I would not put it past these people.
While the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight generated buzz, Mayweather ensured that the spotlight shifted back to him. Throughout his career, he has expertly commanded attention, even if it meant bending traditional boxing norms. His latest move, signing a bout with Mike Tyson, shows that competitive instinct is still alive. With Tyson's iconic name and Mayweather's unbeaten legacy, their match offers far more intrigue than Jake versus Tank. Moreover, controversy clouds the Jake versus Davis fight, as it's not sanctioned as a professional bout. The Florida Commission's decision to label it an exhibition with no knockouts or official stakes draws criticism from purists. Many compare it to scripted entertainment, like WWE, questioning its legitimacy. While it may draw headlines, it risks damaging boxing's credibility among serious fans.
Will face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, "You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight," Shipman said. It'll be an exhibition fight, end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you. These are setup fights. These are rigged fights. I know Jake Paul gets upset when people say he ain't a real fighter and all that stuff. But I think the Mike Tyson fight pretty much showed everybody that, Mike was pulling back on his punches, and it just was weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Gervonta Tank Davis getting ready to sell his soul to go up in here and move around the ring with Jake Paul. I don't know what's going to happen on this. I don't know. But regardless of the fact, the fight is going to do well because it's going to be on Netflix. So everybody got Netflix, so everybody's going to watch the fight. So it's going to be like a wrestling event, basically, a fake scripted fight.
Former champion Paulie Molina has been especially vocal about his disappointment with the Jake Paul versus Tank Davis matchup. He argues that knockouts only hold value when they come against evenly matched, credible opponents. To him, events like this degrade the sport. Molina believes Jake Paul is gaining unearned recognition through fights that prioritize spectacle over substance. In a debate with fellow analyst Chris Algieri, Paulie emphasized that while casual viewers may be entertained, true boxing fans recognize the lack of authenticity. One major concern is the weight disparity between the two fighters, which the Florida Commission flagged as unsafe. Because of this, the bout was only approved as a controlled exhibition, not a sanctioned fight. This decision reflects the limits imposed by boxing regulations, where entertainment must still answer to safety and fairness. Recasting the match as a sparring session highlights how unconventional and risky the pairing truly is. Interview 6 broadcaster Ada Ladipo offered a different perspective on the issue. He believes organizing this kind of exhibition while both Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis are still in their athletic prime is a mistake. In his view, exhibitions are better suited for fighters past their peak, like Mayweather's bout with Logan Paul. Doing it now risks pulling both men away from meaningful fights that could define their legacies. For Oladipo, it's not just about the spectacle, it's about timing. Prime years in a fighter's career are irreplaceable, and using them on novelty events could harm their long-term reputation.
Paulie, knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture knockouts. You
can't manufacture
to a degree.
Davis.
You can to a degree. I mean, you can't. Yeah, Gervonta legitimately cannot get knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists though, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist,
champions.
If he was a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best of the best. Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best and show us how he smokes them.
But,
the way
Paulie,
we did when Felix Trinidad was doing it. You know, the way they did when Mike Tyson was doing it in his prime. Okay, say what you want about the Mike Tyson era. He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No,
and
because
Teddy
he
Atlas
fought everyone that was there. Everyone that was there at that time fought.
Teddy Atlas will 100% agree with this
with the
because
expense
he
of
would say the guys
Witherspoon.
that were afraid of
With
him.
the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say in that era except maybe Witherspoon, who I contracted.
You can say the same thing about
who had contract issues with King at the time. Oh, except for Witherspoon, there is nobody Tyson didn't fight in that era. He knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, dude, when you gonna fight them? The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost any of them. So it's not the same thing as the Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out everyone. There was nobody there in that era that you can say Tyson didn't fight.
Didn't say it was related. It was the same as the Tyson era. Didn't say it at all. I was actually going to say the opposite when you talk about Trinidad. Trinidad is a bona fide superstar, and the way that he was, and like you said, he
stepped
fought
him up
everybody,
and he knocked out.
And he was a knockout punches. No, of course. So that's a different thing. So is Sugar Ray Leonard. Now you also have to compare it to your contemporaries. Nobody is selling, dude. Nobody is selling. No one sells tickets. No one has a following these days. There's very few fighters who actually sell tickets.
There's a push, bro. I was at
Canelo
Showtime.
Alvarez.
I was at Showtime.
Canelo Alvarez.
Bro, but Champ, I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I got to because
they
here's
all
the thing.
Push.
There's
work,
a push for certain people. I remember being at Showtime and even watching on HBO on TV. They're mentioning Saul Alvarez, who I didn't even know his name was Canelo at the time, as a possible Mayweather opponent when they were talking about possible Mayweather opponents. I'm like, I knew who the rest of the guys on the list were. Who the hell is this guy? Who's Saul Alvarez? That he's going on, that you're putting him in a list with all these other guys that you were bona fide champions and high-level fighters.